welcome to the Shepherd Station, and this is another episode of Crime Chronicles where myself and Eric Duhame, former SWAT teammate and law enforcement brother and brother in Christ with me, we talk about some events that happened during our law enforcement careers. And one I want to talk about today, this was kind of a unique situation. I was working for Dothan Police Department back in the 1990s. And I was doing some undercover work around over in Georgia, and I was called by the Seminole County Sheriff's Office and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, and they had a career criminal that they wanted to target. We had an informant who was actually locked up in prison over in Georgia with this individual, and they wanted me to come and do some posing as someone else to talk to this individual to see if we could catch him. This guy was, he was running drugs, he was running guns, he was involved in thefts, just a lot of different things.
I want to add something. Y'all need to understand Andy looked a little bit different back then.
Yeah.
Andy had this Fu Manchu mustache that I remember him.
It was killer.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But anyway, so I actually rode my Harley over to this state correctional facility in Georgia. Like I said, the informant was locked up with this guy. And I went in, and this guy, this criminal, he really hated this particular investigator over in Seminole County, Georgia, and he just wanted to mess him up really bad. So we were trying to gain this guy's confidence. So anyway, I told him, he talked to me about putting out a hit on this investigator over in Seminole County.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. It wasn't an actual hit like kill the guy. He just wanted me to mess him up.
Right.
So, this guy thought I was some, kind of biker guy, not an outlaw biker or anything like that, but just, somebody rode Harley. It's kind of a rough cut kind of individual, So anyway, and I had an introduction from his associate who had already been to prison a few times, who was actually working for us as an informant. So anyway, I ride over, meet up with this guy, and he says, "Listen, man, I just really want you to mess this investigator up." I said, "Hey, buddy, we can handle it." Well, it just so turns out that this investigator was going on vacation for a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. So we actually put a false news article, talking about fake news. Donald Trump would call this fake news. We put a false article in the Seminole County News that said that this investigator's name was Lewis Rusgrove. They said, Lewis Rusgrove, investigator in the Seminole County Sheriff's Office, had gotten a call from an individual that wanted to give them some information on an ongoing case. And the individual wanted to meet him at a boat landing at Lake Seminole.
I see where this is going.
And he got there, nobody was there, and he opened up his trunk to get some equipment or something out of the trunk or do something while he was waiting on this guy to get here. Somebody attacked him from behind, broke several of his ribs and his nose, and he had these abrasions and injuries, and he was treated and released from the hospital and all this kind of stuff, So anyway, this guy, he gets the newspaper. Of course, we make sure he sees it in the newspaper while he's in jail, and through the informant. And then next day, I had a P.O. box set up. This guy was writing me a letter, man. Man, you got him good. You really jacked him up good, man. I like that. So, and then we were doing some.
Folks, in the end, we call that evidence.
Yeah. Well, I met this guy on another occasion at the Southeast Alabama Medical Center parking deck, and I was working on trying to buy some.
Hold on. You met who? The guy that.
Yeah, he got out. Yeah.
You met him again?
Yeah, I met him again.
Okay.
He got out. We were connected. He got out of the correctional facility over in Georgia, and we met at the Southeast Alabama Medical Center parking deck. And I was driving this little a Suzuki Trooper, I think it was. No. It was I don't know. It was one of those little small SUVs we had seized or whatever and using for undercover purposes. But I was driving it. He got in the vehicle with me. I was wired. The vehicle was wired. And we talked about moving some guns and some drugs. And, he had a connection in the border where we could go pick up a pretty sizable amount of cocaine. Of course, I had some friends from U.S. Customs. And, we had a plane arranged to fly down and pick up this cocaine and all this kind of stuff. And then one day I called him. And this is before, caller ID and that kind of thing. But I called him from a specific line. I think it was actually maybe the Crime Stopper's phone in the narcotics office. Mm-hmm. I called him one day on it to his girlfriend's trailer when nobody was there. Okay. The phone was actually switched over to CID, to the investigations division. And this guy tried to call me back after hours on that number. And Bobby Sarles, who was a sergeant at the time, answers the phone, criminal investigation, Sergeant Sarles. And of course, that kind of screwed up the whole investigation, the whole undercover operation right there on that. But anyway, we did end up charging him with a conspiracy for me beating up this investigator over in Seminole County. Beatdown. Charged him with that. And later on, this guy, he was in a multi-state theft ring where he was they were stealing utility trailers in Florida, Georgia, and Alabama. And this happened later on after I was sheriff in the 2000s. He got caught up in this theft ring. And then while he was in the Houston County Jail on these theft charges, he was actually trying to contract with another inmate in there in jail that was going to be getting out to kill his parents.
Wow, he didn't learn anything,
his mother and his stepfather, I believe it was. Guy actually drew a diagram of the house, showed what door that they always left unlocked, all this kind of things and all. So
Dang.
He ended up getting charged with that. And I think he's still in prison now. I don't think
I would hope so.
I don't think he's going to ever see the light of day or see any freedom anymore. And he's an individual that definitely needs to be locked up for life too, because he's a career criminal. He really is a career criminal. But that was kind of a fun case there. It would have been even a lot more fun if we could have completed the drug deal that we were contemplating and that kind of thing. But that was just a lesson learned in technology there too. Lesson learned.
Yeah, don't transfer your phone too soon.